Welcome back to another installment of us rehabbing our gold mine. You're looking up about a 55-degree raise. We got to get this thing timbered up so we can get up about 40 feet to the stope. And once we get to the stope, then we can rehab the stope along the track and get back to our base and start mining some gold. We are over 600 feet underground, and we have rehabbed our workings all the way to this point. We've got to go up about 30 or 40 feet. You just can't quite see it, but right up there about 35, 40 feet on the left, there's a little transfer way that goes over to the stope. But first, I've run out of wood. I've done so much timbering in the mine that I've run out of wood, and we've got that huge raise I got to timber up. And so we're down here on my property. I'm going to go log off some more logs, bring them up to Fred the sawmill guy. We're going to cut them into 2x4s, 4x4s, and some more lagging, and then we'll get that raise timbered up. And if you guys are really interested in this logging stuff, I have another channel. It's called S&J Forest Products. I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can check that out if you're interested. I really like working with spruce up at the mine for a couple different reasons. One, it's really light. It's one of the lightest woods. It is also very strong. It's one of the strongest wood to weight ratios out there. That's why they built the spruce goose out of spruce. For those two reasons, it makes it really easy to work with underground. The third one is, as I've been working with it, I can take, half an inch or 3/4 of an inch from the end of a 2x4. I can screw a screw right in there and it doesn't split. It's got this interwoven kind of fiber to it. So it's really strong. It doesn't split. It's really light. It's easy to work with, and I have a bunch of it. And a lot of the stuff here behind me is dying. It's either dying or dead. And I think a lot of these spruce have died because of the drought. We're in a pretty bad drought right now. They're fairly wet, tolerant plants. They really want to be in that moist, wet Pacific Northwest environment. And it's just been so darn dry right now that I think it's killing all the spruce, and the cedar's going the same way. And because we're ecological green miners and loggers, I'm going to take out some of these dead trees and cut them up for wood. I could leave them as habitat trees, but I need wood and they're dead anyway, so we're going to take them. So here's our butt log. It's 33 feet long. You leave a little bit of what's called trim on the end for the mill. So when I cut it into 2/16s, I'll have 16.5, and then when I cut them into 8s, I'll have 8.25 roughly. So you always cut about a foot longer than you need on a long log. Well, I got 3 logs out of it, all 33 feet long. So that's 100 feet worth of logs. And then there's another 28 feet on top. So the tree was 128 feet tall altogether. And I just counted the rings, it was 129 years old. So it had grown a foot a year, planted probably right around 1895, and 2003 was the year of its downfall, which is too bad. It was a beautiful tree, but now it's gonna hold up the world underground. So now I gotta drag it out of here, get it up to Fred's. This is my little John Deere 440A skidder. About a 1972 vintage, and it's got 3 chokers on it, so I can hook the chokers up to the logs and drag them out to the landing. Fantastic little machine, exactly what I need for this kind of stuff. We're all loaded up here, we're getting ready to go. Get the strap down and up to Fred's. All right, Fred, what's your first thoughts on the log?
I'm impressed.
Yeah, they're good, huh?
Very good. Who did this?
That's an excavator operator problem.
Yeah, they're pretty old. Look at that.
I counted that one was 129 years old.
There you go.
True 2x8s, and then 1.5 by 3.5 2x4s. All right, put them on the mill. We're on our last log of the day. We've got the truck loaded full. I've got stacks of 16-foot long 1x all over. And that last big log, we're gonna cut a bunch of 6x6 timbers out of it. Our plan is to wedge 4x4 stalls across the ribs right against the bottom of the raise, about every 2 to 4 feet. You can just work them up the raise that way, just across like that. And once you get up there, you can come back and we're gonna run a ladder up this side, and then we're gonna make a little chute over here so we can slide materials, lumber, bags of ore, tools, whatever we need up that side. And this is gonna be one of the main accesses for our stope to the haulage way. That works slick. Now we're gonna need a point on one end. So like 45, actually I'll show you the hitch. So here's the one hitch. Okay. That'll just be flat on this side.
Okay.
And then over here, we're gonna grab it right in this notch.
Okay.
And so it's a pretty steep thing, but I can take it and I can see what we're doing, and I can take it and wedge it in here.
Okay.
And wedge this side, because all the weight's gonna be pushing this way up the raise, right?
Okay.
First I had it in here and I was like, oh, that's all that weight's gonna be pushing it out. We wanna push it against the hitch and then wedge it in there.
Okay, so it's gonna be 90 this way, but you want me to cut not like a 30-degree off of this bottom part?
Well, cut it kind of like a point.
Okay.
So maybe like a 1-inch space on the point, and then 45 one side and 45 the other side, and that should be able to get us in there.
Opposite of a bird mouth. Got it.
All right, so we put that thing in.
Wait.
Good. All right, first one done. There we go. That'll be good. Well, let me get up here one more. We'll set one more stall. $59 and 5/8. Now work off. We found that logistics here is becoming a little bit of an issue now that we're back 600 or 800 feet and up the raise. So we're trying to come up with creative and more efficient ideas on how to get stuff back. And we got this whole pile of wood that's all got to go. That's just a small portion of it. So we're trying to lash to the wheelbarrow and one guy pull and one guy kind of push and stabilize the back. It's our first beta test. We'll see how this goes. But here's more wood. We got wood here. We got wood here. We got that pile of wood. It's all got to go back 600 feet and then up the raise. So logistics is a big deal.
I'll grab my bag.
Normally this would have taken us 4 trips. One person can carry one true 2x8 all the way back. So 2 guys doing 4, this will save 2 trips. Hopefully. That's our plan. Using wheels.
Yeah. Heck, I almost could push it. It's almost easier for me.
Yeah, maybe Harry steers and you.
Yeah. Hey, Chad, I'll let you figure out the angle, and I'll just pull. Okay. We have to figure out the steering.
That's working. It's working better than carrying them. See how this first corner goes.
I got it tough to these low sections anyway, so this works.
Nice. I think that'll work. Works better. Still some improvement to be made, but I think we can make that work and make it better. How many ladders do we have? 5?
Yeah, that's number 5 right there.
5. So we're adding rungs to our 4th ladder. I've got our 5th one here. And then my light's kind of going dead on me, so I don't know what you'll be able to see here, but got some old ladders. And then right where those hoses go up and around is where we're going to. We got our ladders in. We've set these 4x4s up as vertical so we can separate the ladder from the chute. And now we're taking these big 2x10s and 2x12s and we're making our chute. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to get a little tricky when we come up around this corner, but we'll make it work somehow. Cut it till it fits, I guess.
I'm getting warm. Yeah. Like, I knocked off the bottom of the board. I got about.
Working on our chute. All these angles are really giving us a workout, a brain workout. The manway and chute is coming along here. We're up, I don't know, probably halfway. I've got some more stoles to set. We're getting real close. Chad's up here with me. We're at the top of our ladders right now, and then we can look right down the transferway here. So we are very close. I need to set another stall or 2 kind of right where Chad's hand is, probably one up past it, and then we need to build a little deck right in here so we can have some lids that flop down so don't have an open hole. Need to work on getting our chute up here, and then we can continue down the haulage way. We're just putting our finishing touches on the raise here. We've put 1x10s or so up the side to protect the manway from the chute side. And we've got our last little section here before the top of the raise of the platform. So 2 more boards and the raise and chute is complete. Here's a quick look at the platform at the top of the raise. We've got a little door here. Goes down to the chute. So we drop bags down there. Little pulley if you want to pulley stuff up. Looking down the ladder. Got our ladder coming all the way up to the raise. We've put a lid over our head so nothing can come down and knock us. And I'll give you a final walkthrough from the bottom to the top. This was the big job. Here's the bottom of the raise. Chute on the left, ladder on the right. We've got it separated with 1x's. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna climb the raise all the way to the top so you guys can get a full top to bottom view. There's a total of 52 steps, spaced 12 inches apart. So we have 52 linear feet of ladder. And I believe at about 45 degrees, that's about 35 or 40 vertical feet of elevation. There's our chute and our wall keeping it separate. There's our platform. Come right up the ladder here. Stick that on our platform and we're good to go. This is the video where we're going to end up in the stope. We're going to end up this video at our working face. We've got a lot to do. We got to put our air line in, water line in. We got about 250 feet to rehab, but this is going to be it. We're getting really, really close to mining gold. Well, this is where we ended our last video with the raise. We're at the top of the raise and looking back towards Harry. This is the transfer tunnel. So this connects the stope with the raise and then down to the blacksmith haulage way. So we're going to walk down the transfer way. It's about 75 feet or so. And that'll give us a view up into the stope. But the problem is we got a couple of nasty holes over our head that we need to close off. So our first action item is get this stall in. We're going to run another stall on this side, and then we're going to just put a bunch of lagging on top and make a little lid for us. So we got our first stall in. We're going to set our second stall, and we're going to come to there. I'll drop in there. I got lots of room on this side. 49 1/4 plus the tape. 49, 59, 49, 50, 51 1/4 plus 3/8 is 51 5/8.
51 5/8, got it.
51 5/8. We'll cut that, and then we need to start putting our lid on us. There. Yeah. That's better. That would be a good one. Need a ladder. Okay.
That can be arranged.
All right. No, I think
Uh-oh.
Let's see if I can get this on video and do this with one hand. Got it? All right. There we go.
Yes, I think we're ready with the next one.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. You deal with Chad. We're getting our lid going. Here's a look at our lid from the top down. The haulage way or the transfer way comes through to down there. And now we're working on setting some stalls here against the footwall and the hanging wall so we can run some netting there and block that off because we won't be working back over there. And we don't want anybody wandering back over there and doing something bad.
Let's see how fun this is.
We're using our orange fencing here. Going to connect it through to these stalls that we've set. Back over that way. We'll see how this works.
One nice wrap.
Well, it's not going too bad, actually.
Great.
It's coming along real nice. That'll keep people out. Getting our ladder put in. It's going to go right up there. And then walk through that little site right there, up onto the track and back to our working face. Well, I was just working that spot I scaled and found this guy. And that is the stuff we're looking for. I can see some gold in there. Let's see if I can point it out. There's some gold right up there. There's a little bit right down there as well. Real crystalline stuff, but this is the good looking stuff. And I'll show you, it's right up there. There's a thin little whisper of stuff right on the hanging wall. And that's where I found it. That whole little quartz stringer is loose. I'm gonna pry him off of there and we'll take another look. There's some gold there by my thumb. There's a pretty nice big piece right here, but it's covered in dust. I don't know if we'll be able to see that one. But I'm working on getting a little pile of it down here. You can see here, I wanted to show you actually, this is a really good spot to talk about this little geologic phenomenon here. So this is a thin little band right here that's carrying some really, really nice stuff, really rich gold. This is a nice, slick surface all the way along the hanging wall, right? And here's a pillar for comparison. That pillar is about 4 or 5 feet tall, wide, and that's where the vein went from the footwall all the way up to the hanging wall. Well, this little tiny thin little band here came squirting in probably at the very last little bit, found the separation between the original quartz vein and the hanging wall, and injected a bunch of fluid right in there. And now you have this really thin little band right across the hanging wall that's just loaded with gold. And that's where I'm finding all that stuff. I'm putting in a pile down there. So just another example of how the vein here is 4 or 5 feet wide, and there may be various sections like see this right here? That looks like a little bit of a different vein characteristic. Let's go down and take a look. So see, it even entrained, it's called a horse to waist. There's waist in the middle of the vein. There's vein below it, horse to waist. So there may be multiple injections of fluid in this vein system, and not all of them are carrying gold. See, here's that little piece I'm probably working. And it's got that shiny, dull gray looking stuff. That's the good stuff. But when you come down here, it's much more massive, coarser crystals. You don't see any of that shiny gray stuff. This just looks like bull quartz. There were only 1 or 2 events that brought the gold-bearing fluid into this system. And then after that, or before that, it's just pretty much waste quartz, bull quartz. So there you go. Geology lesson of the day. I'm scaling and I'm finding gold. That's a good problem to have, huh? There you go. I brought some extra muscle up. Let's see if we can get this little rich zone off of here. There it comes. Yeah, you might get a big old piece, Chad.
Nice. That's
that whole slab. Can you just pry it off of there?
Let's see.
Not yet.
Still in there.
There we go.
You could hear the quartz cracking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love that sound.
There you go. Gold all over the floor.
Yep. That's all vein material right there.
That's all good stuff. All right, let's sort through it, see what we can find. We've got some pretty good pieces here. I'm going to take this back to the rock shop and slab it up and see what we get. I won't put it on this video, but these slabs are probably going to go up on eBay if I find anything good. So check on eBay listings here once this video comes out. Well, it's been a morning of moving wood. We've just been moving wood all morning. I don't know if you can see down there. Here, let me help you. There you go. Thanks, Chet.
No problem.
Got a whole pile of wood up in the stope here. So we are ready to set some stalls. I've scaled down our escapeway. So now when we set our stalls and close off the rest of the stope, we'll have our escapeway, and then we can start working back to our work heading. We're working our orange netting down this way. We're on the tracks. We are working our way that way to our working area. But we were going to do some more stalls here. We've got this really old, nasty, rotten one. And rather than just take it out, we're going to put a 6x6 stall, one on each side. The ground here is really actually pretty good. It's not drummy, doesn't sound drummy at all, but we're just going to be safe and put 2 big stalls in there.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Nice cut.
All right.
Now I need to do the
Nice
pyramid.
Milwaukee.
Go Milwaukee.
I'm gonna do a little pyramid on this. And
You got it.
Now is where you get artistic.
trying not to get artistic, but this hole is not square.
Well, it does compress. Wood does compress, so that's a good thing.
That's right. Add a wedge. Bigger hammer. Okay. Oh, more wedges? Oh boy.
Just this side.
Moment of truth. Let's see if it goes in. Okay, 2 stalls. Well, I have one old rotten one. We can have 2 brand new 6x. What do you think?
You want to pull the old one?
I'm actually real glad to have this. I might as well leave it.
We're working on getting our netting up here, blocking off that part of the stope. This will be our escapeway. Here's Harry doing his thing. And I was just walking by and saw a piece of ore that looked pretty good. Picked it up. A big old piece of gold sticking out of it. So I guess we're in the right spot. We've got one side of our escapeway finished off here. Chad and Harry are at the stope vent holes up there. And now we got to run it down the other side. Tomorrow we'll come in and set stalls. I guess they're not even stalls. 2x4s mostly. Just something to grab the netting. And then we'll run 2x4s down the other side. And we will have our escapeway, secondary escapeway, all ready to go. I wanted to give you a little tour here up through the stope of our escapeway. We've closed both sides in with this orange netting. And so we've scaled down the back. Everything's good and safe within this orange netting. And it's gonna keep everybody out of the old stope. But if you look past the orange netting, if I can get it to focus over there, it's just all old stope, old down there, old pillars. When I was scaling, I found a bunch of gold on that pillar right there. But we want to stay out of that area. So we're just going to work our way back out to the surface. And again, this is our secondary escapeway. In case something happens to our first one, I have a secondary escape. And there's the daylight you can see. This stope's about 125 years old. Big pillars, old gob walls they made back in the day. But once you get past here, you can make it all the way to the surface. It's just essentially a little hallway we made all the way out. We were going to go out that way, but it was too nasty. There's some big hangers there and it would have taken a bunch of stalling and bolting. So we came out this little hole here. Now we're on the surface. And we're gonna have to put in some rock anchors. There's a little trail, but the problem is we got a cliff on the left side there, or whatever side that is. We're gonna put rock bolts up here and a railing across over here so we can keep it safe for us if we need to use it as a secondary escapeway. We got a little railing here, a little makeshift railing, so when you come out you're not exposed to this cliff right off the bat. Here he's putting in our first anchors there, and then we'll stretch a safety cable across so you can clip into. Putting in our little eye bolts here. Gonna run our cable through them.
That's it.
That's what you get. We can make that work. Always ends up in the same position.
I don't want to break it.
Yeah, right. That should be good. We can make that work. Nice. We're tightening up our last 2 cable clamps, and then we'll have our safety line in place. Runs all the way down our escape route. We'll test her out here in a minute. And here we go. We got our Harry with the tag line. Testing out our escape route. I got mine on. Back to my belt. You just kind of walk along here and it comes with you. Now let's go down and take a look at our stope and where we're going to be working. We are at the working face. We're going to be working all across here. And right now we've got a big pile of muck here that the old guys left. And we're going to get this out of our way before we start drilling and blasting. So we're going to start experimenting with getting our muck out now. So Harry's going to work on getting a couple sandbags. We built a little muck chute, goes down to our transferway, and then down the raise chute into the blacksmith haulageway and out towards the truck.
This is the first technique.
I was in here staling earlier, that's why that big donker's there sitting on the muck pile.
Only the stuff with the gold, right?
Yeah, only the stuff with gold, please. Okay, the transfer. That's our first try. We're perfecting our sandbag technique here.
I like your cone idea.
Yeah, I like the cone idea too.
When you start getting big stuff like this,
Is that muck or is that waste?
you tell me.
Well, pull it out and we'll break it open. You got a hammer, Chad? Whack that thing in. Is it ore? It looks like good ore to me.
Yeah.
You told me only get the stuff with the gold, so that's what I'm doing.
Yep. That's good stuff. Shinies.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna try this method. This is a little sled I built a couple of years ago. Harry's gonna see how he likes it. We're gonna have to do some work on the track. I don't think it'll go all the way yet, but oh, he's fast. Well, that's as far as you go for now.
Derailed.
Yeah, we gotta move that big rock and some of this other junk. All right, let's see if our chute works here.
Wide shot.
All right, come on through, throw one down there. We're testing out our muck chute.
This bag's gonna pull up when it hits the bottom.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. See if it'll slide. Bam!
All right. Now we need something to catch these, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do another little transition at the bottom. Nice! Hey, it works, boys!
That's what we want.
All right, let's finish our chute here. Here's the bottom of our chute. We're trying to get a little transition slide down here so I don't just drop these 6-8 feet. Nothing fancy.
We got two different.
Here comes Harry again, or Chad this time. Nice!
You fixed the truck.
I fixed it. That'll just get more and more worn in as we travel it. Okay, let me go down below. I'll watch those sacks come through. All right, I'm ready. That works a little better. They come down pretty hard still. Well, here's our first big hurdle. We've got, for the top of the raise, we're looking down our chute and our ladder. We got to figure out how to get our muck bags down. The first go, we're going to just lower it slow with a rope and see if it'll even slide on this section here. All right, Harry, give it a shot. Just lower it slow and we'll see. Nice.
And it doesn't look like it even broke.
Okay. Gary, go ahead. Whoa. Well, we've learned / decided that flinging them down rips the bags open. So we're going to slow them down and we're going to arrest the fall with a rope. We're going to try 2 this time. We've also built up the side of our chute there on the outside of the corner so they won't go flying off the chute. Ready when you are. I think that was perfect. We have a little bit more work to perfect our chute and muck transport, but we got 4 bags in the wheelbarrow. We're going to take it out today. Do the first muck out of the mine. First load of muck. Well, I'm working on getting the air line in. We've got the water line pretty much there. We got the air line pretty much there. We're getting really set up, really close to drilling. And I want to show you the whole mess, Christmas tree mess I got going on down here. So I'm trying to rob parts from the mine, the old mine, all this rusty stuff. I'm trying to create a manifold I can put on the compressor and then a manifold at the other end underground. And I'm trying to take all this stuff apart. What a mess. But all this stuff is really expensive, so I'm trying to save money. But then the question is, how much is your time worth? Well, I had to grind the bolts off that old Victaulic. But this is where it's going to connect to the poly pipe to the air line. And then we can go to solid steel line with this Victaulic. And I was wondering if these rubbers inside are good. And man, they've been sitting underground for 20, 30 years. And they're still in real good shape. So we can use that rubber right there again and have a good solid connection. Made it.
Yeah, you've done that a few times, right, Jason?
Well, yeah, it's been a while, but we got her here, and airline's right behind you, and running up the hill. There we are, all hooked up to our T, and Harry's over there hooking up the end of the valve, going right to the fan. We're all set.
So I've tied the jackway and the drill together and lashed it so it can't open, the leg can't telescope. I'll be up on the strap, riding it like a bull, and then Chad will be manhandling from the below.
Yeah, and this is the last big thing. We got to take up the raise.
I think so. Not unless
We saved the hardest for last.
yeah, not unless we want to do 2 drills at once.
This is the heaviest item
Yeah.
by far.
The heaviest item. All right.
I'm ready.
Oh, easy day.
Yeah.
How's it
Rotate
going?
it to your right heel. See that?
See how the water line and the air line are rotated down?
Yeah.
And then we could rotate it the opposite way.
We are there.
We got
Short
it.
work of that.
Next round.
That thing weighs about 120 to 130 pounds. They're muscling it up that raise. Chad and Harry, your mine operator, killing it. By the time I went out and got my slickers on and came back in, they had to drill up the raise, through the transfer way, up through the stope, all the way to the working face.
And we got video of us huffing and puffing for 5 minutes.
Awesome. All right, everybody, I wanted to give you a final walkthrough of everything we've done. This right here is the top of the raise. We're going to walk down our transfer tunnel here. And this is where all the muck is going to come once we get it mucked out of the stope. But we've been working for about a month now, getting everything ready to drill and blast. And we are finally there. This is a little cobbled together chute we made for running bags of muck down. Here's our lid for that hole over our head here. And right at the end of the transferway here is a little ladder that goes up into the stope. So we'll climb up this ladder without killing myself. We've got everything cordoned off so we don't have to maintain the whole stope. We've got a little muck chute here. So that goes down. I don't know, can you see it? So we can run bags down there, right over our lid, and then down that little cobbled together chute. Right now, this is how we're going to be bringing bags out on our little sled with Teflon sliders. There's talk about putting some caster wheels on that thing, but we can get 4 or 5 bags of muck on that, slide it down, and then just shoot it right down that muck chute. Everything's netted off, like I mentioned earlier. We have this black poly pipe running here on your left. That's our water line. We get water from some old workings up above, and gravity feed the water down to us. Here is our escapeway. So that goes up and out the stope to the surface. You can see our vent bag there, the yellow vent bag hanging, that's for ventilation. And here is our active heading sign. So we work our way down the track. And right at the end here, we have our airline and water line headers. Still got a little bit of work to get that thing hung. But that was that Mickey Mouse Christmas tree thing I took apart earlier. Got one here and one down at the compressor. And a water line valve here. And over towards our working face. Chad and Harry, mine operator, they did a heck of a good job mucking out the face. There was a lot of ore left over here, if you remember. And so they got it all mucked down to where we can actually get to the floor. And now when we shoot this face, we don't have a bunch of contamination. So all those bags now have got to come out and into the truck. That's going to be our first load of ore down the hill. But now we are getting set up to drill and blast. We're going to use this hole right here as our burn. And I'm just going to start putting holes along the vein here. Boom, boom, boom. Down about 20 feet or so. We're going to shoot kind of right about to here. And we're just going to blast all this stuff, boom, and make a, hopefully, a pile right here. So that'll be the next video. Ooh, okay, we have the raise in. We have the escapeway in. We have our air line in, our water line in. We have our vent bag in. Our escapeway is lined with the cable. You can see there behind me. We are all ready to go drilling. So on our next part, we're going to be drilling and blasting in my new gold mine. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. And thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next video.